Let's talk about the supreme anarchist. Oh, what's the name that other people call them? Supreme Court. I call them the supreme anarchist because anarchy is where you don't have laws. And if you don't know what the law is, you're in a state of anarchy. If judges are not being subservient to the Constitution and making up their own, forcing their own opinion on us that has nothing to do with what the Constitution says, they are being anarchists. We are in a state of anarchy if you don't know what's happening. But the Supreme Court does get things right sometimes, and if we have a majority of justices on the Supreme Court all the time making rulings based on what the Constitution actually says, then I will not call them the supreme anarchist. But what does it mean if somebody packs the court? That subject has come up recently in the news. Who's packing the court, who isn't packing the court, who wants to pack the court, who doesn't want to pack the court. Is court packing happening right now? The Supreme Court has a certain number of justices on it. For my whole lifetime, it has been 9. I've heard of times earlier in American history when it was 6 or 7. There's been some fluctuation. Packing the court is when a president and Congress, they need to work together on this because justices do not get approved. There's a process. The president recommends or nominates a justice, and then the Senate approves them. So it doesn't matter how much a president wants to pack the court if he doesn't have a Congress that will help him in that evil endeavor. It doesn't matter how much a Senate wants to pack a court. They can't put, nobody on it. There needs to be a nominee for them to put on it. So that's one beautiful thing about the Constitution. To prevent tyranny and one person or one group, running roughshod and be tyrannical, we do not get Supreme Court justices because one person wants them or one group wants them. There's one person and a group that have to work together. Packing the court is putting more Supreme Court justices on, increasing the total number of Supreme Court justices. This was tried by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, which is one reason why he belongs on the list of those who in their hearts were tyrants. He wanted to pack the court so he could do anything. So he would become a dictator. He would become a Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin. He would have nothing to get in his way if he was successful. Thank God back then the Senate, which was of the same party that he was, did their job. They held the country at a higher position or higher esteem than the party. They were loyal to the country, at least in that issue. They were more loyal to the country and the Constitution than that tyrant who ended up getting into the White House. And so the court-packing plans of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, never actually materialized. But that's one example in U.S. history when somebody tried to pack the court. Packing of the court should never happen. The court is there. They should be behaving themselves. But the court is supposed to have a lifetime appointment because they are relatively powerless. And so, if there's something that's really unconstitutional, then everyone else should just not try to do that thing, instead of packing the court so they get whatever they want. Packing the court violates the principle of judicial independence. The 3 branches of government in the United States of America are supposed to have a degree of independence. Not one branch does not get to boss the other branch around. And if the judges in the courts know that they are, one ruling that the Senate doesn't like, one ruling the president doesn't like, away from, suddenly being overwhelmed by new judges who are going to be yes men and rubber stampers for the president or Congress, then they're going to be lacking a certain independence that they are supposed to have if the Constitution is being followed. And so it's a limit on that power, and so court packing should never happen. Is court packing happening right now? This is a news report and objective facts that I am reporting on. No. When Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, a nominee was made in her place, just like when Justice Antonin Scalia died. If you are calling nominating Amy Coney Barrett court packing, and you are consistent, then you must also denounce Barack Obama, because Barack Obama did the same thing that the current president has done about the court. If somebody is dead, nominate somebody. That is not court packing to just fill in empty holes, empty slots made by somebody dying. And yeah, so those are my thoughts about court packing. Yesterday I read a news story. There is a constitutional amendment that is right now very early in the process, but it's got sponsors, and it's gaining steam. It's building up momentum. It's growing. A constitutional amendment to limit the Supreme Court to 9 justices. Right now, we need to worry about court packing because the Supreme Court is not defined. The Supreme Court is identified or mentioned in the Constitution, but the Constitution does not define how many justices are on it. Since the Constitution does not define how many justices are on the Supreme Court, there is a risk of court packing happening. If the Constitution would define it, then it still would be possible for people to ignore the Constitution. That has happened, but it would be harder and less likely, and we would have some more metaphorical ammunition to argue against the court packing if it's right there in the Constitution. It says 9. Back when George W. Bush was president, I had a great idea. At that point in time, there was a Supreme Court justice that died, so we were down to an even number of Supreme Court justices. We should have a tiebreaker justice. This tiebreaker justice would only take part in voting in rulings. In other words, voting on... They call it a ruling, but it's voting. There's 9 people voting on what to say about it. Have this one tiebreaker justice only take part in rulings when there is a tie. So if a Supreme Court justice is dead, too sick to be a part of a case, or must recuse himself, and you end up with an even number of justices tying, then the tiebreaker justice would step in. That way we would not have tied rulings, because tied Supreme Court rulings would be a very bad thing. Depends on the subject they're ruling about, could be a very bad thing. Now, I wish we did not need to propose this, because the Constitution, words have meaning, the Constitution's there, and you're not going to have a lot of split rulings, tied rulings, if the justices are actually looking at themselves as subservient to the Constitution, trying to learn from it and rule based on it. But, and you would still have ties maybe if justices were doing that about things that are less important or less clear, but we've had 5-4 rulings about things that are crystal clear. And, you know, if we look at history about the Supreme Court. So, unfortunately, we need to worry about ties. If there's a Supreme Court justice who's unable to be a part of a ruling, and we have 4 and 4, or a total of 8, or total of 6, because then if they split, you've got 4 and 4, or 3 and 3. Now, my idea, we could, if you're against the idea of a tiebreaker Supreme Court justice, I don't know, you're really, I'm hesitating to use the word, but maybe it's not too strong of a word, stupid or evil. If you think it's a good idea to have split Supreme Court rulings, like evenly split, 4-4, 3-3, wow, you're very wrong. Whether they would be a part of the arguments and take part in that, I don't know, that's something I don't have a firm opinion on when we finally implement this great idea I had. I can see reasons that it would be good to have them be a part of the arguments, and reasons it would be less effective or better to not have them be a part of the arguments. Thank you for watching. You have a good day.